what about the freedom aspect?
I mean, yeah, sure, the freedom, but like if the freedom proves to be a negative,
and there are plenty of things that we have restricted because of safety. You can't drink and drive. That's a freedom that's taken away from you.
Yep.
It's blinking.
It's blinking, so I think that means recording. It's a new camera.
That's usually what it means.
All right, so the question was, if you could change one thing about the world, what would you change? What's your name?
I'm Phoenix.
Phoenix. Okay.
I would get rid of all forms of bigotry.
Get rid of all forms of bigotry. Okay. And why is that important to you?
Well, I'm Mexican, second generation immigrant. I was born a woman. I'm trans. I'm queer. I'm physically disabled and mentally ill. So I have experienced I'm also very poor. So like I said, I've experienced my fair share of bigotry. And I think most things would be fixed if we got rid of bigotry. It would make politics a lot nicer. It would make the world a lot nicer to live in. I wouldn't want to kill myself. Because, no one should want to kill themselves.
Is that something that you are feeling in this currently, like in part of your life?
On again, off again. And a lot of that is because of bigotry, because of people's hatred.
Okay.
But I try to be a little happier. I try to be a very positive person. Because I can't get rid of everyone's bigotry.
Yeah, sounds like you're positive. Sound like a positive
I'm very
person.
positive. I'm very friendly. I compliment people all the time.
yes.
Because of these feelings, it sounds like you feel very strongly and very passionate about this.
Yes.
Are you sure you want to continue with this conversation?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure you're okay. That's the most important thing to me.
Any of my friends can tell you I will vocalize if I'm done with the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Great. Yeah, feel free to walk away at any time. Okay. So, figured out why it's important to you. What's a good way to achieve this?
Well, I feel like education would be a big step, and the separation of church and state.
Okay.
I am Christian, but I also believe that education and politics, religion has no place in that. For the most part, it only leads to bigotry.
Okay.
And I think if we removed a lot of that, people would be able to more openly, like in schools. Sex ed should not teach abstinence-only. Obviously, it should teach safe sex, and it should teach not just heterosexual. It should be for all people. And that's just a very small, easy step that definitely, I think, would help a lot of people.
Okay.
Like my sex ed didn't even talk about periods or anything.
Yeah, no.
It's like
all we
removing-
did is abstinence, and that's
Removing that bigotry and prejudice would,
Okay.
be a small but very important step, I feel.
So it sounds like we might need some people to be on board with that, to want to have this sex education in schools and to be opposed to the abstinence teaching. If I'm hearing correctly, that's what you're saying? Okay. How do we get there? How do we get people on board?
a lot of activism.
A lot of activism, a lot of education, which it's a killer circle. Because in order to get the education we need, we have to have people in positions of power. Yeah. I try to do my part to help what I can. I signed up to vote. And, I go to rallies, I do activism. I try to educate people when I can. But I think it's going to have to be a lot of small steps from a lot of people, which is kind of the only way to make any change.
Imagine somebody who is in favor of abstinence, teaching abstinence, and wouldn't be in favor of encompassing sexual education. What information might we educate them about that would have them go from abstinence to an encompassing sexual education?
The fact that it's human nature. Humans are going to have sex, and there's nothing you can do about it. Let's be real.
And some people might choose to be abstinent, and that's totally fine, but it's about having the options. We don't restrict people to what schools we think that they should go to, what we think they should eat. People are allowed to make their own choices, and I think it is our duty, and the education board and the government, it's their duty to give people the choices. If someone wants to be abstinent, even if someone wants to believe that abstinence is the only way,
Did you want that button for a second?
they should be given the choice.
Actually, what you said reminds me of the way they did the Shot of Reality is they chose not to talk about abstinence and abstaining from alcohol. What they did is they accepted the fact that we're going to drink alcohol, and what they did after that is they told us how to be safe while doing it.
Exactly. That's given the option because, let's be honest, I think most people know what abstinence is, right? In high school, that's what I was taught. That's what you were taught. But a lot of people don't know I'm going to school to be a doctor, and all it is making me realize is how little high school and elementary school and everything really taught me about the human body. Periods, sex, all of it, and that's harmful for people. That's dangerous.
Getting back to what could convince someone to go from advocating for abstinence only to more of an encompassing sexual education. And what I heard, I think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I think that you were saying that freedom, and for people to make their own decisions, they need to have this education in order to make like an informed choice, it sounds like, and they should be free to do whatever they would like to do. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
I mean, that is theoretically the basis of America.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not really how the world's going.
Yeah.
And I think that's what needs to happen is people need to understand that everyone's an individual and they should be allowed to make their own choices. As long as it's not directly hurting anyone or themselves, like, they should be able to do it. And like opposing sex ed and stuff for everyone is helping no one and hindering people who are already vulnerable to a lot of things with our current system.
And then I think you said that this is just kind of how sex is. People are going to have
human
sex.
nature.
Human nature. Yeah, so we might as well teach people. I'm trying to.
It's better to have the information and not need it than need the information and not have it.
Exactly.
Okay. Gotcha. Of these two things, which I think they're similar but not quite exactly the same, which do you think would be more convincing to the most people?
I think the freedom one, because like mine is kind of just a pragmatic approach to it and doesn't look into society at large. Theirs, on the other hand, it creates a precedent, on the other hand, for more activism to be done. Like, it could expand from just sex ed in schools to, education on drugs, education on alcohol, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Because I think it's important to remember when debating with people is you're not trying to change their mind or their position. You should just be trying to educate them. Because it's a losing game trying to, one conversation change someone's entire life.
Yeah, if you
but you can educate them and hopefully down the line. Like if I'm talking to someone who thinks abstinence should be the only thing that should be taught, I can explain to them, that teaching something other than abstinence doesn't hurt anyone and it only serves to help people. And that allowing people to make those choices is important.
Let's try to walk over to the other side and put on the shoes of the people who might think abstinence is the way to teach about sex in schools. So I think both of you probably value freedom, and that's kind of why you're in the position you are.
Yes.
You're advocating for what you advocate for because you value freedom. If you were to step into these other people's shoes, what value do you think would get them to their position?
I think religion is a big part, and fear.
Fear? Okay.
Fear of things people don't understand, and the misconception that teaching someone how to have safe sex means they're going to go out and have sex. Like, that seems to generally be the consensus, is if you teach people about this stuff, that's all they're going to do, which just isn't true.
Yeah, it's not to change the topic or anything, but it's like suicide prevention. It's like telling someone not to kill themselves isn't putting the idea of suicide in their head. It's, letting them know that you care about them and that you don't want them to hurt themselves.
Gotcha. I'm going to try to take, I hear what you're saying, and I want to make it as charitable as possible to the other side. And if I were to do that, I think that I would phrase it like this. And you guys can tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm way off. I don't know. I would say that these people might value protection of human well-being, maybe. And I'm not saying they're right with this, but they value the well-being of people, and they want what's best for people, and they believe that by abstaining from sex until marriage or something, maybe that would be what is best for their well-being. Do you think that's maybe how they arrived at their conclusion? Possibly,
but again, that goes back to fear of what will happen if they don't.
Yeah.
And control. That they think that should be the only option because they think that's the best option.
Yeah.
And that's not how the world works. People aren't going to do what you think is best. People aren't going to listen to you all the time.
And you don't have absolute control.
And so letting go of that control, and you can still think that abstinence is the best option, and you can abide by that, but there need to be choices, because again, going back to that freedom, you can't control people, and you shouldn't. I mean, people should be allowed to do what they want and be who they want.
You're free to be you, I'm free to be me, and that's how this should be.
Yeah. Do you think that people who also disagree with you, they might also value freedom?
Hard to imagine anyone who doesn't.
Okay. Maybe they are prioritizing the way they think what they think would be best for people, like protection and health-wise, might be. I mean, it might be a misconception. It might not actually be a good strategy to protect people, but they might be prioritizing that over freedom.
Well, I would say that you would have to look at statistics. People who know about safe sex and stuff, people who are taught safe sex, are likely to be safer. It helps you avoid STDs. It helps you avoid
unwanted pregnancy,
any number of stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that there's... How am I going to want to word this? So we have these different approaches, these different strategies to how we want to have education, how we want people to interact, what people want. We want people to do in the world, I guess. Maybe that might be sloppy wording, but I think you're picking up what I'm putting down. Yeah. Okay. And so we have those different ideas. I think we have kind of the same goals. You would have the same goals as the other people. It's just the interpretation of it's the strategy and what you think will result is different. Is that what it is? The expected result is different?
Well, not the expected result, the actual result. Teaching abstinence only raises the rate of unwanted pregnancy. I would have to look at the statistics again, but I would say raises the rate of UTIs, STDs, all kinds of infections, and probably teenage pregnancy, I would believe. It's wanting to help people and being unable to you want to help people,
but you don't want to give up control.
Exactly. You want to help people, but only if it's the way you want.
It's like my way or the highway.
Which, I don't want people to think that I should burn in hell for being trans or queer or whatever.
Yeah.
But I accept that that's what they think, and they're allowed to do that, because that is their right to make that choice. And that's letting go of control, which seems to be something that a lot of people who think that abstinence only is the only way can't seem to grasp, is just because maybe it works for you doesn't mean it's going to help everyone else. And that's why those choices are so important.
I'm hearing kind of like two separate reasons why you might be an advocate for sex education. On one hand, I'm hearing like the freedom, and on the other hand, I'm hearing all the benefits from that result of this education, like lower STIs, lower unwanted pregnancies.
Exactly.
If,
Like she said, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
yeah. Of this freedom or of the benefits, is there one that's more important than the other?
I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. You have the freedom to not get sick, to not get pregnant if you don't want to make the choice to be safer or be abstinent, or any number of things. They go hand in hand. By having that decision, you are given the freedom to make your own choice.
Which gives the benefits.
Okay. I'm going to throw out a crazy hypothetical. It's going to be a little wild, but bear with me. Stick with it, all right? Imagine a world where if teaching a sexual education, a comprehensive sexual education, not abstinence, resulted in more unwanted pregnancies and more STDs and all the bad stuff more often than teaching abstinence, and abstinence always resulted in all the good stuff happening. Would you walk over to the other side and be an advocate for the other side?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
If you can
Really?
prove that
If
it has
that's
benefits, yeah, I'm willing to accept that I'm wrong.
I'm not so narcissistic to think that my way is the only way. And that's exactly what we're saying about that choice. If that was what helped people and that was what kept people safe, I would say that would be the better way.
Wow.
Because in that case, then it would be more dangerous and more harmful to be teaching comprehensive sex ed. If that led to a direct increase in people getting hurt, unwanted pregnancies, stuff like that. Can I pet him? Bye, baby. Can you sit down, please? She doesn't care. Whatever. Oh, you're so little. It's kind of a freak.
On the camera stand. Should be bad.
She doesn't even care at this point. That's her problem. But I'll just die. I'll just die. She's living her best life.
I was kind of surprised by your answer. I was expecting you to not switch sides. I'm wondering.
Because there would be nothing good about it then.
Yeah, like
I would
if
be
we're-
arguing for something that's actively hurting people.
Yeah, if we're proven wrong, then yeah, I'll join the side that was proven correct.
What about the freedom aspect?
I mean, yeah, sure, the freedom, but like if the freedom proves to be a negative,
And there are plenty of things that we have restricted because of safety. You can't drink and drive. That's a freedom that's taken away from you. You can't go into the army if you're depressive or manic or injured, because you could result in more people's harm.
Or you
can't go into airports with bombs or guns or anything.
you can't join the Air Force if you're colorblind.
There are some things that are dangerous enough that they
They have been
override
restricted.
freedom. And that's decisions that have been made before. There's a precedent for it. If that was leading to a huge uptick in people getting sick, people getting hurt,
People getting pregnant, they don't want.
and then it would be all kinds of things. Kids that were living way more unsafe, unhealthy lives.
And, like, living in poverty.
Possibly more child mortality, I would imagine.
Yeah.
In which case, that would then fall into the category of there's a precedent to get rid of something that is actively hurting a majority of people.
Okay. All right, I don't think I have really any more questions for you
This
guys.
has been a very stimulating conversation.
This was
Good.
fun.
It was fun.
It's like a good mental boost before classes start.
Yeah.
Can I ask what this is for, if anything?
So I have a YouTube channel. Here, I'll give you a card.
Awesome.
Give you each a card.
Thank you.
And so I post conversations on there. I'm actually developing a new framework for having conversation, and that's what I was using today. It's
That's
called
awesome. I love that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's called Compassionate Epistemology. There's a website out there that I put up for it. And yeah, I'm just really interested in talking with people and how they arrived at certain conclusions, and what their strategies are for fixing any problems that arise, and what we do together.
I like that. It's a very open approach. That's how I try to take things.
Yeah. It's an awesome approach to
Well,
take.
thank you for this.
Yep.
This was fun.
Thank you.
I gotta get off my life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were going somewhere, so have an awesome day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Nice day.